Rabbitohs!
Guys, and welcome back to AdosTheGreat YouTube channel. So guys, in today's video, I'll be giving you my round one tips and predictions. So what I'll do is I'll give you my tip, who I think will win. I'll give you a margin, either 1 to 12 or 13 plus. And then I'll give you a try scorer from one or both teams. Probably both, but we'll go from there. But I'm going to jump in. We're going to talk about each game as quickly as possible. So I'm not going to be here talking too long. Otherwise, it's going to be like an hour-long video. But we'll go through, talk about some players that I find it interesting they've been named, or new players to the club. So we'll go through that game by game, and then I'll give you my tip, my margin prediction, and a try scorer. So without further ado, let's jump into this one. But before we do, guys, please hit that like button and subscribe. It goes a real long way in helping the growth of my channel. We've only just hit 10k subs, so I thank you so much for that. Your support on the channel means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much. But let's get into it. Roosters versus Broncos. This one is Thursday night, 7 p.m. That is Queensland time, so it'll be 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. All right, for the Roosters, Mark Nawaqanitawase is named in the centres with Robert Toya. So they're a new combination there in the centres for the Roosters. Robert Toya is an absolute weapon. He did struggle a little bit in the trials, but I really do think that he will grab this opportunity with both hands and have a really strong game here. You've got the new halves pairing of Sandon Smith and Chad Townsend. Outside of that, forward pack is, how we'd expect it to look. The bench is a bit interesting. Obviously, Siwa Wong not in the number 13 jersey. Nat Butcher does get that one with Victor Radley moving into the number 12. Zach Docker-Clay gets the number 14 jersey there. Blake Steep and Salesi Feketi named on the bench. Not too many surprises there. Makahisi Makatoa has been named on the extended bench. So, I don't think there will be any changes named to this side. I think they will be 1 through 17. But, I do find it interesting. Makatoa has played for a few clubs now, I believe. So, the Roosters being another one. So, interesting stuff there. For the Broncos, you got Shibasaki and Mariner in the centres there. I expected Mariner to be there for the most part. Shibasaki was very interesting. Did not expect to see that name there so early on in the season, but obviously Stagg's injury played a part in that. Now, Ben Hunt in the number 6 jersey, not making his debut, but making his playing his first game for the Broncos since joining the Dragons prior to that. So that'll be interesting. Corey Paix wins the number 9 jersey. Obviously, Pat Carrigan moving up to the front row means Kobe Hetherington gets that number 13 spot. You've got Jack Goz in the number 11 jersey, so he got that one over Brendan Piakura. Billy Walters in the number 14 jersey. So outside of that, not too many surprises there. And again, I don't really think that there'll be any changes made to this side. I think both sides will be named on the day 1 through 17. No surprises. For me, I think the Broncos win this one, and I do think they get it done. I think 1 to 12. I was going to say 13 plus, and I may change that. But for now, I'm going to go 1 to 12. I think at Sydney, the Roosters, and they can pose a little bit of a threat, but I think the Broncos will still get this done by 10 to 12 points. For an anytime try scorer for both teams, I think Robert Toya, you can nearly lock him in for a try, I reckon. He's just going to have a really, really strong game there for the Roosters. And for the Broncos, I'm going to say Reece Walsh. He's an entertainer. I would be very surprised if he didn't cross the line in this one. So Reece Walsh gets it for me there for the Broncos. All right, on to the next game. We've got the West Tigers taking on the Newcastle Knights. West Tigers, few injury concerns. Obviously, you've got no Jareen Buller. Heath Mason comes in there. Justin Olam is unavailable. Unsure if he will be back. So Solomona Fa'atape gets that jersey. Taruva and Skelton, the new backs on board there for the Tigers. Jerome Luai will also make his Tigers debut, coming over from the Panthers. Terrell May, very excited to see how he goes up front there for the Tigers. Outside of that, no real changes to that Tigers squad. It's looking decent, I must say that. Obviously, you do have Talon Silva coming in for Api Korisau, who is suspended. Tristan Hope will get a go in the number 14 jersey. I love to see that. I really hope he plays well in this one. He deserves this. He really does. He's had to jump through a lot of hurdles to get his debut here. I believe he might have had 1 or 2 games last year. I'm not 100% sure, but he definitely hasn't played many games for the Tigers, that's for sure, if any at all. So excited to see that. Royce Hunt and Jack Bird come onto the bench here. I would not be surprised if Jack Bird is elevated into the starting 13 before kickoff, but we'll see how that goes. I do think they will look at adding a little bit of size with Alex Twal on the bench there, but you never know. Sione Fainu as well wraps up the 17, and outside of maybe like a Latu Fainu or a Kit Laulili, I don't see any changes to this. I think they'll be 1 through 17. All right, for the Knights, James Schiller will make his debut there on the wing. Fletcher Sharp gets the number 6 jersey. Cogger gets the number 7. I hope the Knights do keep these 2 players for a while. You know, if it doesn't work come like round 10, round 11, maybe make a change then. But I think they've got to pick and stick. They can't just chop and change all the time. So I think that's what they've got to do there. Phoenix Crossland gets the nod at number 9 over Jaden Brayley. I actually really like that. And Tyson Frizzell, they're finally playing him in the middle. So I like that as well. He is the number 13. Kai Pearce-Paul does get the number 12 jersey. So exciting for Knights fans there, in my opinion. Outside of that, the bench is pretty much how I think most people would have expected it to be named. And I would say Thomas Kant may have a sniff in that 17-man squad before kickoff. And Adam Elliott's also named there as well. So those 2 I could see come into this side, but that bench is pretty strong. Like, they've got a lot of depth tonight, so I don't mind this squad. I think the Knights have picked a pretty good team there. And let's go through the tip. Originally, for this, for all of last week and the start of this week, in my head, I'm like, I'm tipping the Tigers. And then Dream Buller got ruled out. I think the Knights will be too good in this one, so I am going to back them in. I know there's a lot of hype around the Tigers, and for good reason, at Campbelltown as well. I definitely could see the Tigers winning this one, but I am going to back in Newcastle. They played well in the trials. I think they get the job done here, and I think they get it done 1-12. I think the Tigers will keep it relatively close, though. Maybe 1-2 tries there, 4-8 sort of margin is realistically what I'm looking at, but obviously locking in a 1-12 margin there for that one. All right, we've got the Dolphins taking on my South Sydney Rabbitohs. I was supposed to attend this game. Unfortunately, it has been moved to CommBank due to the cyclone. So if you do live in southeast Queensland or northern New South Wales, like myself, please keep safe. I really do wish everybody all the best there. Obviously, I come from Rockhampton, experienced several cyclones up there. So, look, they can be very scary, especially if you haven't had one for 51 years. You know, it is a little bit daunting. But if we all work together, we'll be safe. All right, enough about the weather. Let's get into this one. So the Dolphins, Junior Tupou comes on the wing there. Love to see that. I think he's going to have a really big year for the Dolphins. Daniel Saifiti will also make his club debut in the number 8 jersey. Kuli Kefu Finifuiaki will make his debut in the number 11 jersey. And they welcome back Tom Gilbert from injury. The bench, again, not too many surprises there. And then you've obviously got players like Josh Kerr and Kenny Bromwich, who, in my opinion, could make their way into the 17 somewhere prior to kickoff. For the Rabbitohs, Jai Gray obviously replaces Latrell Mitchell. Isaiah Tass is on the wing with Tyrone Munro. Jack Whiten, that was expected. Campbell Graham, he will play this game, so that is exciting, as will Cody Walker and Jamie Humphries, the number 7. I love that. Sean Kepi gets the nod there over Tavita Totola in the front row. However, I do think this is a bit due to Totola being injured. Last year, he should be fit and ready to go now. But yeah, Peter Mamozolos gets the number 9 jersey there. Joy Arakion in the second row, that was to be expected. And Lachlan Hubner, my boy. If you've been following me on socials, you'd know how high I am on Lockie Hubner. I'm so glad he locked in this lock jersey, no pun intended. I love Tallis Duncan. I love what he offers. But Lachlan Hubner is a bloody hard-working bloke. I've followed him through his career at the Central Queensland Capras. I think he's an absolute weapon, and I'm so glad he got that 13 jersey. Bud Sullivan gets the first nod at 14. I like that. I like that we've gone with Sullivan and Saliva Havili. I think both of them can play a role here. I do think Sullivan probably does slot into that number 7 jersey for a bit. Humphries might play a little bit of 9. And then I think they'll utilise Havili as another front rower. But very strong lineup there. Outside of obviously a few injuries, but for what people were expecting, this is a pretty good lineup for the Rabbitohs in my opinion. And I am obviously going to back in my team 1000%. The Rabbitohs are getting my tip there. I know the Dolphins are heavily favoured in this one. I think that is very disrespectful. I think the Rabbitohs have every chance of winning this game. I genuinely do, especially now that it's been moved to CommBank. We played very well at CommBank. We've got Cody Walker as captain. I love that. I think the Rabbitohs have every chance of winning that game. All right, the first of the Saturday games, we've got the Dragons taking on the Bulldogs at Netstrata Jubilee Stadium. So the Dragons look completely different. Clint Gutherson, Val Holmes, Lachlan Ilias, Emre Gula, and Damien Cook, all new signings there for them. Hamish Stewart will get a run off the bench as well, which I really like. I think this Dragons side looks really good. I'm a bit surprised Tyrell Sloan didn't lock in a wing spot there. I thought he might have gotten it over Matt Fianay or Tui Pelotu. But look, I still think that's a very strong Dragons squad. Not expecting any changes prior to game day. However, Pacifici Tonga could slot into that side over Stewart potentially, but I can't see it happening. For the Bulldogs, not too much to talk about in the back line there outside of Marcelo Montoya making his debut. Even the forward pack's pretty much, stock standard what we saw last year. Kurt Mann is the number 13 there. I actually thought they might have gone with a Bailey Hayward in the 13 and Mann in the 14, but they've gone the opposite to what I was expecting. You've then got Sitili Tupanua coming from the Roosters off the bench there for the Bulldogs. And then, extended bench, Curtis Morin. I'd be surprised if he didn't feature in this one. I thought he'd be in the 17 somewhere. But look, they have got a pretty strong lineup there, so maybe he doesn't get a feature in this one. Two very strong teams. I think this one will be very tight. Didn't give you a margin for the Rabbitohs one. That one's a 1-12 in my opinion. But another 1-12. I think the Bulldogs get the job done here. Very confident in them. I think they'll be too good there for the Dragons. All right, next up, we've got the Manly Seagulls taking on the North Queensland Cowboys. This one's at Brookvale Oval or Four Pines Park. For Manly, not too much to talk about there in the back line. Pretty stock standard. Sia Takiaho. I know I pronounce his first name wrong. I'm horrible. I get it. And then you've got obviously the 3 Trebojeviches, all fit, all healthy, all ready to go. Love that. Jake Simpkin comes over from the Tigers. And outside of that, pretty much the same squad they had last year. So that is good. Oh, Jazz Tavanga. I did miss Jazz Tavanga there for the number 9 jersey. So obviously coming over from the Warriors there. Pretty good squad. I like it. Shouldn't be any changes prior to kickoff in my opinion. For the Cowboys, very different looking squad to last year. A lot less experience, which is, it's fine. You've obviously got new players. Braden Burns named on the wing, which is a little bit of a surprise to me. You've got Jackson Purdue, Tom Duffy, Sam McIntyre, who you probably wouldn't expect to be in that starting squad. Well, obviously Duffy and Purdue were talked about a bit. McIntyre, I like it. I like his selection in the front row. You've obviously then got John Bateman as well coming over from the West Tigers. English international, really good second rower there. So I think he will do a good job for the Cowboys, especially with losing Fini Fuiaki and Hilam Luki due to injury. Carl Lawton will play against his old squad, and then no real surprises outside of that. Jay Clifford is named in the 18 jersey. I don't expect him to get a run there. And Jason Taumalolo is also named on the extended bench. Don't know if he comes into this squad. If he does, it's probably for like a Harrison Edwards. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Maybe it's an injury. I'm not too sure. But in this one, at home, I think Manly win and win quite well. All right, do I really need to do a talk on this one? We've got the Melbourne Storm against the Parramatta Eels in Melbourne. Ryan Pappenhausen is good to go for the Storm. Their back seven is pretty much full strength there too, so that's exciting for the Storm. Stefano Utuikamanu makes his debut there for them. Outside of that, like pretty much full strength. They've made no changes outside of Utuikamanu to their side last year, so not too much to talk about. I think Storm will probably go one better this year, and I think that is a very good squad named there. No changes unless Pappenhausen does go down prior to kickoff. That obviously Suafea-Longo should slot into that fullback spot. For the Eels, a few changes here. You've got Isaiah Iongi and Zach Lomax coming into that back line with Ronald Volkman as well. Mitch Moses out for about 5 weeks, I'm hearing. So Volkman will get first dibs at that 7 jersey. Obviously, will not keep it because it's obvious that Mitch Moses will get that one back. Outside of that, not too many changes to the forward pack outside of Jack Williams, who is one of the leaders at this club, which is awesome to see. The bench, a few youngsters named there. You got obviously Charlie Geimer, who they are very high on there. Riley Smith also named. A lot of people are saying to keep an eye on him, so I definitely will be doing that. And that's pretty much all we need to talk about there for the Parramatta Eels. I think their squad is very strong. However, not strong enough to beat Melbourne. I think Storm win this one 13+. All right, so let me know your tips down below in the comments, but let's go through mine once more. Backing in the Broncos, I'm going to change it 13+, no, I'm going to stick to 1 to 12. I'm going to stick to 1 to 12. Instagram will have my updated margins later on in the week, so go and check that out. Knights 1 to 12, Rabbitohs 1 to 12, Bulldogs 1 to 12, Manly, I'm going to say 13+. I'm flipping it here. I think Manly win that one 13+, and Storm also 13+. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you do hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, my friends, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.